Okay, all right, we're going to call to order the public safety meeting for Tuesday, January 16th. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. We'll start. Jim, we'll start down with you.
Jim Nickel.
Kieran Farrell.
Heidi Youngworth.
Don Thomas.
Ron Binnock.
Jim Bagoulas.
Dan Blanchett.
Dan Ehlers.
Jason Freeman.
Okay, public comment. I'm going to go with none today. Approval of the November 28th minutes. Okay,
Motion approved.
okay. Anybody second?
Second.
All right, the minutes are approved. Staff report and updates. So, do we want to start with you, or do we want to start with,
Whichever. Yeah.
do you have anything?
It's up to you, Mayor. If you want to go first, or?
Go ahead, no.
Oh, perfect. No, I think just want to say Happy New Year. Hopefully everyone had a good holiday season. I know that we didn't meet in December, so we're just catching up with a couple of the projects. I think everything on here is the same as what it was in November, moving forward on the agenda, so we're open to all these items on here.
All right, well, I guess we're going to go ahead with, I know, we're going to start with Chief to give us an update on the fire.
Very good. Morning, and happy New Year. So, first thing, the good news to report is that the fire index danger for brush fires is down. The bad news is we got to start shopping for amphibious vehicles. So, no. This month on the call report that I put in front of you guys, it's a little bit different than what I've done in the past. And the reason is that it was interesting to me looking at the historical data. So you have the month of December for the last 3 years. And on the first page is current year, 2023. And just focusing on the top, the distribution in calls, you'll see was 45% fire, 51% EMS. So EMS, the fire is pretty much everything. That's fire alarms, electrical hazards, and things of that nature. So if you go to December of 22, you'll see that the numbers are substantially the same. 50% for fire-related, 48 for EMS. And in both of those cases, you're seeing call numbers for the month of December about 130 to 140. What's interesting is when you jump back to pre-storm for 2021, that is our typical distribution of calls, 21% fire and almost 80% medical. And that's typical across the industry. So I think we all know what we're going through, but it paints the picture of how the distribution of calls are different. And also in 2021, our typical run numbers were 320 calls for the month, so nearly double what we're seeing now. So as we know, our call volume is down about 50%, and we are seeing more of those incidents related to electrical hazards and construction and things of that nature. And that kind of leads into a little bit about the fire department and where we're at right now. Actively working on the design for the replacement fire station out on the boulevard and the fire truck and the equipment that we'll need to bring that station back online. And that whole project's about a 2-year timeline. So that's in progress. We're excited to see that come, and hopefully later in the year, we'll start seeing some progress out front there on Estero Boulevard.
So 2 years till it's done?
Probably about 2 years.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yep. Any questions?
And you'll still have the southern end fire station as
That's
well.
correct, yes. So we'll go back to 3 fire stations. The fire station on the south and the one on San Carlos Boulevard, they're up and running. Still going through some restoration projects, but up and running, so.
Nice. Okay. That's good news.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions. Anybody have any questions? No. Before we go?
What are they doing with the old fire station on the beach?
So the old fire station, we have been waiting to list that property.
That property is small, so it wouldn't accommodate a replacement fire station with current building codes and floodplain regulations. We just recently got word from FEMA and our insurance companies that we pretty much have the green light, so we'll be looking to market that building in the coming months.
Okay. And are you using the whole Tops property? You're not going to use the whole thing, are you?
At this point, we're planning the fire station on the front half, and then the back half, we'll use that to stage materials and do the construction project. And then after that, we're not sure what that use will be. We're looking to take our administrative functions over onto San Carlos Island.
Interesting.
So you'll close Voorhees?
Once the administrative building is built, we probably won't have a need for Voorhees anymore.
Chief, I don't know if it's appropriate or not, can you read these, maybe, the issues faced regarding?
Sure, thank you.
I'm not sure all the public's really up aware of
Got it.
what that's about.
Yes. So as you know, that we were faced with a potential imposed merger from one of our state representatives. That went through a couple different chapters. And ultimately, that merger was to be with Bonita Springs. And then the second version of that merger included Iona McGregor in an attempt to split the beach community at the bridge and hand off the mainland to Iona and the island to Bonita Springs. Through our work and collaboration with our neighboring districts, what we determined and found out was operationally we have a lot more in common with Iona. We work with them much more often than we do with Bonita. And also identified that Bonita Springs has much more in common with North Collier Fire. So where we're at this point is the representative has pulled both of his bills, and we're going through a voluntary study with Iona McGregor to see if it is feasible, both economically and operationally, for our two agencies to potentially combine. And that'll be a project that'll probably take a couple of years to work itself out. Ultimately, if the study shows a feasibility, that feasibility will then be followed by a merger plan, and those documents will be available to the public so the public can be educated and then have the final say through a referendum vote.
The impact of a merger, I'm going to speak with kind of both hats on here. The impact of a merger, in my opinion, would limit the beach community's influence and impact on its public safety forces, because you're going to go from, if there is a merger that occurs down the road, you're going to go from 2 commissions to 1 commission, and the 1 commission is going to probably be primarily the larger agency, which in this case, if we would merge with Iona, would be Iona. So that right now you have, 6,000 voters and 5 commissioners. So there's an excellent opportunity for our residents here at Fort Myers Beach to have influence and impact on their public safety services by approaching the commission, sharing their views with the commission, and then the commission being able to influence the operation of the actual fire department. If we do have some sort of a merger, that's going to be diluted. We'll be 6,000 of 150,000, or however many people are in the Iona Fort Myers Beach combined fire district. So to me, it's a serious matter that beach residents should be thinking about as this entire process unfolds. I think the state's view on this is that it's going to save money, and it'll yet to be determined whether that's true, because we don't have a lot of overlap with either one of those 2 agencies, Bonita or Iona. So I just would like to make sure the public understands this is an issue. It hasn't gone away. It's an issue that the fire district is going to work through, and I think we'll have the answers to those issues. What do you think this will likely take? A year or 2, probably, to have a good process.
It'll probably take at least a full year to get kind of through the study, and then if there's a feasibility, there'll be an additional step of a merger plan before we're ready to bring all the information forward for the public.
And it will have an opportunity to go before the voters. However, you know, these things, the way the statute reads now, it would lead you to believe that each jurisdiction gets to vote. So Fort Myers Beach would get to vote, and then the other jurisdiction, which in this case we're talking about is Iona, and both districts would have to agree to the merger in the vote. However, what we saw previously on the imposed merger option was they combined that into one voting district. So our 6,000 got to be part of the 150,000. So they got to decide. I mean, they would have much more influence over the decision than the 6,000 voters that we have here in the Fort Myers Beach. Maybe even more than that in the district, because the district goes all the way up to Summerlin. But right now, there's not a lot of people here. It will grow back. It's coming back. And we know it's going to come back. It's going to come roaring back. But right this minute, when all these things are happening, you know, our influence would be much more limited, I would think. So I just think that the town and the people that live here should understand this issue hasn't disappeared, but we're going to work through a process here. And I think the district, and if I can, I'll speak for the commission to the degree that we'll make sure that the town is, and the people here are well informed as to what's happening.
Thank you.
Just have, for people that can't see this, maybe watching online, we had 218 incidents, like I said, in 2021 from emergency response system, 63 in 2022, and 43 in this past December. One question for, I guess, for a public safety committee would be, could we dig deeper into those EMSs? If it's like heart attack or stuff that we are not addressing, that's fine. But if it's a bike incident or someone tripped over a sidewalk or something that we as a public safety committee could look into to help the town so that we don't have these incidents possibly in the future, if there's a way to dig into that, that would be great.
Yes, I can answer to that to some degree. I know we've talked about this before in the past. So we can filter out our traumatic injury calls from the total EMS calls. And we have a category that, vehicle versus moped or vehicle versus bicycle, vehicle versus pedestrian. Tripping on the sidewalk, we don't get that granular on the cause. We treat the injury as we find it. And I know there's been some conversations in the past about how granular the sheriff's department would get with their reporting, and I don't know if we'd be able to get to trips on sidewalks and stuff like that. But we do have some ability to drill down into this data and focus on those traumatic calls.
You could split it possibly, Chief, injury versus illness?
We could do that, yes, for sure.
Because that would be a clue as to then these injuries, maybe eventually we could explore what those are, because I think that's an excellent point.
Yeah. Very good.
Have we had any, or have you noticed, are we getting any pedestrian car issues going on? Has there been, like in the last month? Because obviously the pedestrian issue at the north end of the island around Times Square, where people are just literally walking in the streets everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're noticing anything, or if you've had anything happen. If not, good. but-
Not particular. I mean, every,
Yeah, just leave them off. There's nobody here.
There we go.
yeah, every call that the district gets actually comes through on my phone. So when they're traumatic call types, I look at them.
Yeah.
And then I usually get a report from our shift commander or the supervisor who was on the vehicle. If it's, we call it an echo level, but a high priority or a trauma alert or something of that nature. So I usually get a heads up on that. We may have had, I haven't seen anything, I haven't had it reported to me that we're seeing an abundance of vehicle
Okay.
versus pedestrians.
Okay. Okay. That's on my list.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Chief
Very
Worth.
good. Thank you.
Lieutenant Chitwood is running late, so we'll just pull him in as he comes in, just in case he's running around. So now we're up to, we have public safety campaign and messaging.
Madam Chair,
what?
do we just make sure that they're hearing this out there before we go
Yes,
too far?
we can wait.
Just as a side note too, when you're speaking, I know these mics can be a little finicky, so if I know you want to try and get as close as you can to it,
Okay.
but it looks like we have our IT helping with it right now.
Can you make sure Jacob is coming through?
All right, public safety campaign and messaging. Last meeting, we had talked about getting a hold of Jenny Dexter and seeing what's going on with public messaging, and if you may not know, she has resigned, so I don't know who the new contact is for marketing or public information at the town.
Sure. Madam Chair, just wanted to also say, I believe we had sidewalk project before, if we want to discuss on that.
Want to talk about that first? All right, sorry about that. Sidewalk project.
That's me.
Heidi?
I will admit, that has fell through my cracks. So I promise, by the end of the week, I will have everyone a designated area for checking out the sidewalks.
Okay.
And I will email it to Jason, and then he can email it out to us.
I have had conversations with Commissioner Sandelli about it. He is anxiously awaiting pictures to get started, so.
Okay, great. All right, we'll get that done. Okay, wait, Lieutenant Chitwood, we will let you get up and give us your update, if that's okay.
Okay. It's a little wet out there today. Thank you for having me. Our update for the next few months is obviously as we approach the traditional spring break timeframe, we're starting our planning, we're continuing our planning for what might be coming in the next few months with that. We also have, I know, some major events that we'll probably need to plan for in the next few months, possibly the Shrimp Festival, if that's going to happen. And we're also going to be looking for potentially July 4th. I know it's months away, but we always like to be planning ahead of time for those events. So those are kind of our future outlook as far as planning goes. Currently, there's no crime trends or anything that's happening on the beach or surrounding the beach or that are affecting the beach that are of note. Our traffic enforcement is continuing to focus on not only speeding, but pedestrian issues, and which are increasing as we get more and more traffic down here. So that's kind of where we're at as far as a quick update. There's nothing specific that's happening that I think would that I need to bring to you guys, but if there's any questions you have for me, please feel free to ask away.
I do, I have some.
I just wanted to say, I have observed your enforcement activities, particularly trying to check people passing in that center lane.
Jim, can you talk into the mic so
Yeah.
they can hear you?
I've that's all I've observed your traffic enforcement, particularly in that center lane, and I just wanted to say thank you because we discussed that at the November meeting, and it did seem like enforcement in that area, even on the south end where the traffic was a little lighter at the time, did step up, and I think it's got to continue as traffic increases. We're going to see more and more incidents of very dangerous behavior, and it's just a matter of time before somebody goes around somebody and gets either in a head-on collision or catches a pedestrian trying to cross in front. So, thank you for the efforts that you guys have made, and I would ask you to continue them if you could.
Thank you, will do. That's why I think it's very important for us to have this interaction, because then I can take that straight back to the patrol deputies that work down here and communicate what you guys are seeing every day living down here.
I have one that I'd like to bring up. I'm noticing, because I live there, and when I walk down to Times Square, we are seeing an abundance of people that are crossing anywhere they want to cross between Lonnie Kai. It gets more congested as you hit to Margaritaville, and then as you hit to where the old crosswalk was to Times Square, there's no light, there's no direction, so you get one person, two person walking out in the middle of the road. Then you have people crossing at the base of the bridge by the lighthouse because there's more activity there, and they're crossing right in the middle of the road. Also, the light at Margaritaville, I know people are complaining it's with traffic, but I've noticed on 5 different occasions, the cars are slowing down because they've been conditioned to stop for pedestrians. So you've got someone who's pushed the button, they're waiting to walk, there's maybe one or two people, the cars slam on their brakes, then the people are, they're going because it's saying, don't walk, and then you've got this standstill. Then the car behind it, they'll move, it'll happen again. Or the cars are so far behind. I noticed the other night, each car was like 50 feet between each other, and they're slowing down every time to let someone cross. I don't know, where is our contract with Lee County? We used to have the sheriffs out there when we start getting busier, directing traffic. I was actually stood out there and started waving people through the light, going, keep moving. And also, I don't know how we cannot have it timed that we've got the red light at Margaritaville, you've got people crossing. At that same time, you've got everybody stopped by the Old Times Square crosswalk. That should be when everybody is crossing at the same time and holding off, instead of this piecemealing of one and one and one. Now, I know we've got, it's season, but we do not have the amount of cars we have in typical season. We do have an abundance of workers that are on the island, so that is adding to the car count. But I really do believe that the pedestrian traffic, just walking wherever they want to walk, is impeding everyone. I also would like to throw out, why can't we get some metal, like those fences over there, like guardrails that are like you do for a concert or something, to direct people to not cross wherever they want to cross. Those are, I don't know if that's been discussed. I don't know where our, Dan?
These all sound like traffic engineering.
Mayor, do you have a comment?
I think I'm just going to turn the arrows away from Mr. Chitwood and send them this way.
Okay, that's fine.
A couple things to unpack there that you were talking about. Everything you said is completely valid. I'm on the road every day, 25, 50 times a day. So I see the exact same thing.
Right.
And I don't want to speak legally or from a police perspective, but it's my understanding that you are required to stop for someone in the crosswalk, but not necessarily someone waiting to enter the crosswalk. I'll let you touch on that, but the light that you were talking about in Times Square, that
Right.
doesn't work. The pedestrian crossing at the base of the bridge that was there before, where we had the crosswalk people there,
Right.
that doesn't work. So there really is no, other than the stop sign, there really is no traffic or pedestrian control there. Talked to Lee County, they gave me a 4 to 6 month time frame to have those lights operational.
Okay.
In the meantime, we are working with the Lee County Sheriff's Office to try to implement what we had before,
Okay.
have someone standing there, not just at those two, but I would personally like to see it at the Crescent light as well.
I think
So
we need
I
it
think
there.
those three could work in concert, and once the lights are fixed there, the Crescent and the one that will be going on the other side of the bridge, we've been told from FDOT that they will work in conjunction with each other, so they will be timed
Right.
to work together. But in the meantime, we were also looking at, I know Andy's looked into it and Frankie's looked into it, and they're going to be sending some of our staff into the training to allow them to be licensed to be able to direct traffic. So that will help allow us to get our staff out there, not just Lee County Sheriff's Office. So it's very high on the priority list. We've heard it, we understand it, we see it,
Right.
we wait in it, they wait in it every single day, just like everybody else.
Exactly. Oh, I know they see it, yeah.
And I think we have found that when you can hold up the traffic to allow 10 or 15 people to cross and not have to stop for every single person, every single minute that comes through, that certainly can help alleviate the traffic. But we're well aware of it. As far as putting up guardrails or crosswalks or something, we would have to talk to Lee County about that because it is their right of way.
Right.
Whether or not there's a willingness to do that, I'll certainly talk to Commissioner Sandelli and see if there's something that we can do to try to funnel people to the crosswalks and not allow them to just walk out anywhere that they want.
Right.
But a lot of this comes down to public, or, personal responsibility.
True.
If you're walking down the sidewalk and go to the crosswalks, that's what they're there for. Don't just hold up traffic. One, for your safety, and two, for the traffic. But I didn't mean to jump in there, sir, but
Well, and you
I
hit the
thought I could
nail-
answer many of those questions for you.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head. We have been conditioned to stop people, or to stop our cars at a crosswalk, and the Margaritaville one is that anomaly now. They're telling you, do not stop. You follow the light if people are at the crosswalk, and they're following the old rule of stopping, and so that is holding up everybody behind them, and so that traffic, you might get 3 cars through. We saw it one night, because we were timing it one night and seeing how long. It runs for green for 2 minutes, and then it's only red for, I think it was 30 seconds to let people cross. I mean, it moves fast, But then if you have one person standing there and then all the cars stop again, it defeats the entire cycle.
Yeah, I've noticed that it's gotten better since it was first turned on. There were people crossing, not waiting for the crosswalk or the lights to change, but there's still people that feel that they're more important than the light and take their safety into their own hands and walk out in front of the car. You know, someone could be looking at the pool, they could be looking over here, they could be. So it would really benefit you as a person to take control of yourself and make sure that you're waiting for the light to change. But we want to get someone out there as soon as we can in those locations to help direct the traffic. Because it's not just coming north on the island. If you've come from Bowditch, the traffic sometimes can get backed up almost a pink shell to get off the island coming from that way. And it's because there's only a stop sign. There's really no traffic control there. So the sooner we get those fixed or get someone out there to help direct that traffic, I think the better we'll be. I mean, we're going to be in season. As I've said before, we've got almost 1 million people in Lee County. They're still coming to the beach. Many of them are day trippers now. They're just coming down from wherever they're staying because they don't have the places to stay on the island. They're parking in people's yards. They're parking wherever there's a place to park.
Right.
So that they are coming. And I encourage everyone, if you haven't done it, go out there at 6 o'clock in the morning and just watch the amount of construction traffic that comes onto the island. And then what's going off the island. If you just, as you're walking by in the traffic, just count how many cars have trailers connected, or they have, you know, you could tell they're obviously construction workers.
Right.
And I think as we further progress in getting Santini Plaza open and things on the south end, that'll help alleviate that midday traffic where people are coming north to get food to eat. You know, they're coming to Publix, or they're coming up to Charles Brothers, or they're going all the way up north to Times Square to get food. So there's a lot of things that are adding to it. Although we don't have all of our residents back, they've been replaced with construction workers and day trippers. So we're working on it, trust me.
Okay. Has there also been any discussion, and I don't know if you have to wait until Times Square has a plan, a master plan of having a second crosswalk overhead from, where the land that Margaritaville has designated, that's empty, to cross over so that people go over, so that we have a double crosswalk, overhead crosswalk?
Yeah, in my initial meeting with the owners at Times Square, they're working on a plan to work with the town and the county to come up with something that could work for them that would, it's going to be very difficult to get all of them to agree on a plan. And then you have to get the county involved and the town involved. So now you've gone from 12 people to 3 people, which is much better. But I think that the vision that was in that meeting that came out of that, everybody could get on board with it. Now it's just a matter of implementing it. There was discussion about adding a second if Margaritaville is on board with it, but all initial indication is that they're open to that concept of putting another one over that area. Once the roundabout is done there, we all know how many crosswalks are going to be there. Anytime we can get people out of the crosswalks, I know everybody refers to Las Vegas. Look at Willis, it keeps people from crossing and slowing down traffic. It's a simple concept. We have a meeting next week with the EPA about doing some urban development type of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. But yeah, I think the more people we can get to go to the crosswalks, as you said earlier, and then get them off the road and across overhead will certainly help. But we got to be realistic. We're a destination place. People are going to come. As long as there's the Gulf of Mexico and we got a clean beach, people are going to come.
Right.
We could do the best we can to try to alleviate it. And there's no such thing as a bad suggestion. So if someone has a suggestion, feel free to reach out. Although I did hear one that I thought was a little out there, but.
Dan, I think there's an engineering issue there at Crescent that Lee County may want to investigate to see if there's a solution. There is a crosswalk there on Crescent going towards Margaritaville. You have traffic that is trying to get off the island. If they want to turn right to go down, possibly to go to Margaritaville or to go up that way to cut over to downtown, they have to allow that. They have to allow those pedestrians to cross Crescent Street.
No, if the pedestrians pay attention, they're not supposed to cross. It's almost like an arrow to turn right. It says they're not allowed to cross that way either until everything goes off. So that's another fallacy. It's opposite of what normally happens. Those
Right.
people should just be able to turn.
Yeah. And what I think they're ignoring the signs. The signage
Exactly.
is what I think. Because what I've seen is, then of course that backs off. Since we only have one lane right there, if somebody wants to turn right, they have to wait for the pedestrians to clear the Crescent crosswalk before they can turn right, or they'll run over them. And that is just an engineering thing, or maybe it's going to just take some time for people to get used to the idea that they're not supposed to do that.
I think that, and the sooner we can get someone out there with a badge will
Yeah.
certainly help us. People seem to pay attention more to a badge than they do to a turn signal. So if we can get someone that stands out there and essentially, I don't want to use the word bypass, but that's what it would be doing, bypassing the light to allow traffic to flow and pedestrians to flow better. I think it doesn't hurt to at least try it.
Yeah.
I don't think, I've heard the suggestion of shutting off the light. That's outside of our control. It's an FDOT thing, but we certainly could talk to them about it, but I don't know that that's going to solve any issues. I think you're going to have the same
I think
things
it's
that
the
we're
same.
discussing, but
Right.
I think we can, it doesn't hurt to at least get somebody out there to help direct the traffic and see if it does increase the traffic flow. And I think it even, as Lonnie Kai opens up, I think having someone at that, we all understand that before Crescent was there, the Lonnie Kai crosswalk was the same issue. It's
Yep,
just
right.
moved further north. So you're going to have it at both those locations, but having someone, and if we can get staff out there that can do it just for the few hours a day that we need to do it, whatever, from noon to 5 or
Right.
from 2 to 5, I think it would certainly help because you can see each other, you can work together, you can stop traffic at the same time, you can allow traffic to flow at the same time. To me, it just makes sense. It's a fairly simple solution to at least give it a try.
I agree with that. Okay. Those are my comments. Thank you. Anything else, Lieutenant?
I
Taylor?
have one thing. Before the storm, when people came south from the north end, they had to turn, at Times Square, they had to turn right and go down to Crescent and come off of Fifth Avenue. I've seen a lot of people now using the right turn lane going north to use it to come up the bridge, if you know what I mean.
Off of Estero, off of North Estero.
Yeah, right. Which, again, creates some severe issues. And I'm seeing either a regular sheriff or a community support sheriff sitting there. Maybe they should be standing out there so people don't use that for a turn lane.
Where exactly are you referring to?
As you come off of Times Square, right, the traffic coming south has that left turn lane to go onto North Estero into Times Square. Traffic coming out of Times Square, I'm seeing cars,
Flippy Yui?
yeah, basically,
Yeah.
Okay,
take a left turn onto the bridge
okay, I got
when
it,
they
yeah.
should be going,
I am aware, we've had discussions about that as well, so I just was making sure I had the right spot.
yeah.
That whole area is in our discussions, because we know we have a lot of pedestrian issues, we've got a lot of traffic issues right there, so we'll increase our discussions on there and try to get the guys to make sure they're really focused on that part of the island, in addition to what we can also get to. But we know we got a lot of issues right there, and we got a lot of pedestrian issues, and that's going to cause
Yeah, but
traffic.
And I don't know if the county could do it, like they put up those posts when they were doing the construction work there right at Margaritaville. Put up the posts so that they can't get through there, if you know what I mean.
That's something, we wouldn't have control over the post, but what I can do for sure is have a specific assignment to look at that with my guys, and then they can report back to me, and then I can make a recommendation on my side. Again, it'll be the county that decides if they're going to do it or not, Lee County. But again, if you identified it as a problem, we've identified it as a problem, the town's identified it as a problem, I think, we can make something happen. So,
Yeah, in that same area, I've noticed that people coming off of Fifth are turning left to go south on Estero instead of exiting the island.
Yeah.
Which is stopping traffic, both on Fifth and then when they're trying to get out and around. Because now they're stuck blocking the off-island traffic because they can't get into the line coming onto the island. So that whole area,
Yeah.
it's a,
I even saw somebody turn right to head south, and then they turn around and pull the U-turn.
on the bridge.
It's
oh,
almost,
just at the end of the turnaround there,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're heading south, the very end of the, what do they call it, the center island thing, they make U-turns there too.
one of the things before the storm, we had those signs, Lee County had, or FDOT had, that said, exit island here. I wonder if we can get additional signs that are on that corner, on the street that say, this street, exit only, or
I forgot, we did have those signs.
we had signs everywhere saying exit only, exit, yeah. Go ahead.
Just want to, yeah, so I'm sure everyone has seen that a lot of the road signs are returning back on the island, at least the town-maintained ones, so that's something we can look into and add to the list.
That'd be great. It'd be nice to add some additional ones by Margaritaville, because they are getting more traffic exiting the island, exit island, and then this street, exit island only, because you really can't, you can come back on from Margaritaville or from Leakey, or from the Tiki and Lighthouse, but if you've gone to the point of no return, you're going off the bridge. So,
Actually, yesterday, saw a guy make a U-turn on the bridge.
I've seen that twice.
And then he got mad at me when I yelled at him. I said, "You can't go down and turn around." He gave me the bird.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you for New Year's Eve. So thank you to the Sheriff's Office having a safe event, from even the traffic patterns that were set up to just presence. So as we walked around for that event, yeah, I just want to say thank you for all your effort.
Thank you. The town staff was very helpful that night, so I want to say thank you to them while I've got the mic.
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you, thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we were talking about sidewalk, we did that, we're on public safety campaign. Okay, so I was going to reach out to Jenny Dexter, we were gonna see what plans she had going on, well, she has since, decided to leave, so I don't know who the new contact is at town for us to move forward.
Yeah, I believe they're still in the process of hiring a permanent replacement, but in
Okay.
the meantime, there's a couple staff, I think, helping out with it.
So you can share their emails with us, so we can
Absolutely.
find out what they're coming up when they're messaging, and then, I think that the crosswalk information, that type of stuff needs to be the stuff that comes out, but I want to see what else they've got planned, because I know they've been doing some things, I don't want to have so many messages going on, and I don't know what I've been paying attention, but it's been nothing, it's been kind of a bunch of different topics. So I'll get back on that as soon as we have a contact. We have bicycling updates. I don't know, I have an opinion on this. I know I saw one of the public service announcements saying, do not ride your electric bikes on the sidewalk and on the beach. I just really, right now, with the traffic so bad, I think people are doing whatever they can to get up the island, and, but I haven't seen it be an issue because the crowds aren't really there on the beach, but that's my 2 cents, so I don't know if there's, anybody's seen something else with bicycling or,
You can ride your electric bike on the sidewalk as long as you're pedaling and
Correct.
not using the electric assist.
correct,
And I think that's where people also get confused.
right.
I think, I think one of the things on the bicycling was that, like in front of the Beach Baptist, when we talked about how it was painted green different, just to kind of give a little bit more guidance, because right now, everybody's going everywhere with the bicycles. They're going, you know, in the northbound lane, they're riding on the sidewalk south, and they're just riding everywhere. And so, one of the things that was brought up about that was just if have this, you know, if there be a little bit more signage, or I think that, on the north end of the island too, I believe there's the green where it shows you where the bike,
Yes.
you know. So that was just, that's kind of the one thing that I saw on the bicycling was just everybody's going every direction and trying to give some guidance on.
But you can ride on the sidewalk, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, so,
No.
I think we tend to see more issues when the crowds on the sidewalks are thicker on the
Yeah.
north end. But, I don't have any comments on that. Does anybody have anything on,
Just want to make a note there, so I believe you were referring to, so North Estero, that's a town-maintained road, so they did do some of those paintings on there, and then I believe it was right before the hurricane, sometime around that, the county did that pilot.
Yes.
I believe right in front of the Baptist church area.
Yeah.
So that one we would have to be in coordination with the county on, but that North Estero block is town-maintained.
Yeah, it's another one of those deals where, I mean, people are gonna do what they wanna do, but if there's just a little guidance on, hey, this is, you know, just a reminder on, for your safety, ride this way, or.
And we were in conversations with them extending that pilot program on the Estero Boulevard. Once the hurricane hit, it kind of has gone by the wayside, but we could certainly bring that conversation back up with them. They were having to do studies and tests on it. I believe it was Corkscrew Road or somewhere out there that they had done the same thing that they were doing a test on to see if it worked or didn't work. But I can follow up with Commissioner Sandelli on it and see if they've had any chance. I'm sure that they've had other things they've been worrying about, but it doesn't mean we can't pick it back up.
I think it might also help to somehow get the message out to bicyclists that the safety portion of it, it's important to ride with traffic if you're going to ride on the sidewalk. Because if people are riding against traffic on the sidewalk and people are pulling off of side streets to blend into whichever direction, then if you're coming the wrong way, people are, for example, if you're going to go northbound coming out of pick a side street, you're looking to your left, you're looking to the south. And if bicyclists are on the same side of the sidewalk coming south, you're not looking in that direction. So I think it's important for bicyclists, if they're going to ride on the sidewalk, first of all, keep it slow because they're pedestrians. Second, ride with traffic. I don't know how you get that
Yeah.
more messaging out, I guess. Be something to consider.
We used to, before the storm, there were signs that said wrong way. Like by Red Coconut on the back of the, so if you were going opposite traffic, there were signs that said wrong way.
Yeah, I'll double check and see if those were put in by the town or Lee County. I believe what yeah, there was like, maybe on the back, someone had like two different colors maybe and
Yeah.
said, go on this side. So we'll look into those and see.
And then also before the hurricane, we had a campaign about bicycle bells and also lights. So that's just, I know we're going to have giveaways for those programs and stuff, but something maybe we can start up again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if that's something that you would all like to revisit or start up those campaigns and get some bells and lights, that's, we can look into the vendors again and see if we have the budget for it and start that process again too, if you all want to. So if I remember correctly, I think that was like we would do a school camp, or a goal was to do something with the Beach Elementary School as well with that, or a campaign.
We started with that, we
something with
handed
that.
them out, we did hand them out to all the school, and then we offered them to the public at a discount. And then we also were starting a campaign with rental homes, for those who had bikes on their rental homes, to make sure that they had their rental bikes with bells and lights as well.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right, member items. We'll start with you, Jim.
Commissioner Fleming talked to me about the fact that we're missing a lot of crosswalk signs up and down. While we have a lot of signage that has been, brought back, the street signs and stop signs, but we have a lot of crosswalks on the island that are marked as crosswalks. But we also had a sign up that would just kind of alert a motorist that there was a crosswalk coming up, and they all are mostly gone, and they haven't been replaced yet. And as pedestrian traffic picks up and vehicular traffic picks up, I think it's probably advantageous to try to get Lee County to put those crosswalk signs back up there. I'm not talking about the lighted ones, I'm just talking about the one that just says crosswalk. Go ahead.
Yeah, I met, Andy and I met with Commissioner Sandelli Friday last week, and that was one of the top things that we talked about. The Linnell crosswalk that we were trying to get addressed before the storm.
Right.
Get the flashing lights when we can, but the low-hanging fruit, to your point, is the signs. So he's aware of it. We made him aware of it again last week, and we'll stay on him to see if we can get a date or an estimated time for when they're going to get those put back up.
Great, thank you.
Karen?
I guess I don't really have anything to report or any items other than what I mentioned up at the last meeting, which was about the crosswalk signs that you put actually in the middle lane that either pop up or spring down, I guess. But it would possibly work if the fire trucks had to run over it, and it would, it just says pedestrian crosswalk, but a little more awareness for people that, yes, cross here, don't cross wherever you please, and think that you have the right to cross there and I should stop. So that's about all I got.
I will have the sidewalk information, like I said, by Friday to Jason.
I have a comment about, I've been reading about the Let's Go FMB group that has gotten together, that's talking about all the issues on the island. And one of the things that they brought up was safety. they reached out to me in September before our first meeting and said they were addressing basically the same issues that we are addressing, because we all pretty much can figure out what the issues are. It's not rocket science. And I suggested that they come to a meeting and work with us so that we all are on the same page, because why have two groups doing the same exact thing? Since then, I've reached out multiple times, and I haven't heard back from the person that I had emailed originally, and then I've talked to a couple other of their members. But I then read also that they have a liaison with the town council. So I'm trying to figure out where we stand as a safety committee and what their role is, so that we're not doubling up on issues and projects, and even coming up with conflicting messaging that we might say something and they say something. I don't know how to proceed. I didn't want to go to their meeting and, get up and say something until I had everybody on board with this group, as well as with the town with Dan and with Jason. But I do see it as, it's redundant. So if they're passionate about that, and we obviously are passionate since we joined this committee, that we should work together. So any suggestions?
Counselor Woodson is the liaison for that. I would suggest reaching out to her.
Okay.
You and many other have said the same thing on this issue and other issues, so I think it's important that you, to your point, you're not you have two committees doing the exact same thing,
Right.
but looking at things opposite. It's better to work together, but I would reach out to her
Okay.
and see if she can put you in contact, or have you come to talk at the meeting, or, I mean, you're the chair of this committee, so a town-appointed committee, so I think it's important that your voice is heard, and reach out to her so that you can share your concerns.
Okay. Anything, Jason, on that, or no? All right, I will do that.
All right. One thing I'd like to bring up is, after the hurricane and how the whole operation of getting everybody together, the lieutenant and I talked it back in, I think after the October meeting, about, I don't know if the committee here would be interested doing a little, a field trip to the EOC, the Emergency Operating Center, to kind of get an inside idea on how the communications and how all of this, when a big disaster happens, I'm familiar with it, being retired fire, but I don't know who else would be interested in going to the EOC to kind of seeing how it all
Interesting.
lays out. Just a thought to throw out there. I don't know where we need, Chief?
If you think that's a good idea amongst the committee, I mean, I would be glad to liaison that with emergency operations and put together something like that. Get you out there and you can see how the Emergency Operations Center works. Or
Yeah, and I think we can work with everyone on that. The only thing we might want to do is maybe schedule individual meetings, just because it makes it a little bit easier with sunshine and everything with that, than advertising the public meetings, but that's something that we can definitely help coordinate with.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Okay,
Just-
so.
You could, before we move on, you can reach out to, or the chair, or someone if you want to reach out, or I can reach out, Jason can reach out. And maybe if you're going to do it, just for the sake of time and everybody's, if it's advertised as a public meeting, then maybe you could all go at once. It might be something to
Yeah, that's what
talk
I
to
was
the
thinking.
attorney. I mean, if everybody wants to do it,
Okay.
it could be very consuming for
I was
some.
going to say one by one would be a bit much.
Yeah.
Just
Go ahead,
one other
Chief.
thing on that, if it's not super urgent, the Emergency Operations Center is in the middle of being a construction project. So if it's something that you wanted to kind of let it go, because the dispatching center, everything is going to be changing, so you may go look at it and you'll get a general idea of how emergency operations works. But if it's not super urgent, and you can kind of see how the whole operation is going to work after the building's done and they've moved dispatch and done everything, that, would probably give you a more current view
Okay.
of what everything's going to be like.
We can
That
put it
might-
on,
So-
go ahead.
That might be something for like maybe a July meeting or something like that.
We'll check-
just
see where they're
before
at,
the
yeah.
storm season comes and stuff like
Okay.
that, so that.
Later on.
It'll probably take longer than July, so, yeah.
Okay, we
it-
can wait
It's
till
going
they're
to take a
done.
little bit, but,
Perfect.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm following up from a discussion that we had in November. Just a quick background for people that weren't here. So wanted to improve the communication with residents and guests of the island prior to a hurricane. So one of the ideas that were brought to the table was a two-way communication so that we can send out a message and then have response from anyone that's staying on the island prior to a hurricane, so that we could allow first responders to go to those residents first, knowing that they're there, and then search those homes. And then after that door-to-door check, could continue to other residents, but, at the normal rate. So what we wanted to do is make sure we complement any other emergency response systems that were out there. One of the things that, after the last meeting, had a follow-up was to sit down with the town manager, Andy Hyatt, and Jason to talk through this a little bit more. The plan would be to use the existing OnSolve system that we have today, Code Red. That system has two-way communication built into it. We just haven't really clicked the box and used it before. So what we want to do is run a pilot. The plan was to run that pilot with Jenny Dexter, but as we know, she's moved on to greener pastures, and we are just waiting for her replacement to run that pilot. The key there is just to ensure that the system works, and then the idea there was to bring this also update to the town council to provide them with some visibility to this plan and an idea to just have another system in place prior to our hurricane so that, we're more prepared. This complements other systems that were also considered by Andy, so, we're just trying to find a system that works great for our residents and our guests.
So did you meet with Andy, and you're gonna do a presentation then to town council to let them know what, that you came up
If
with?
the town mayor thinks it's a good idea, sure.
We missed our last meeting.
Usually it's up to the board to choose who they want to come and, we certainly at council always love to hear from the committees and get updates. It's been a while since we've heard from the Public Safety Committee, so I would encourage it.
I think you should get on their docket, because that was a wonderful presentation, and show them everything.
Okay.
And get on that as soon as you can.
Will do. Be nice if possibly we could do a quick pilot before we go in.
Sure, I was going to say, so we have a council meeting next week, and then we'll go back into the typical normal schedule of twice a month after that, so.
Okay, all right. So I'll follow up with Jason to, find the right timing for that. Perfect. Okay. The second area that, also brought up to Andy at just talking through, and it was an idea that I had, was we have the beach patrol, those four-wheelers that driving up and down the beach, and I was, we had talked previous meetings about metal that was just still in the sand, nails, screws, whatever have you, and being a safety issue. They have, for, relatively inexpensive, where it's a trailer that has a magnet in the back of it, and you just hook onto those beach patrols, and as they're driving up and down the beach, as they do today, that magnet could be, also sifting through any of the sand, pulling any metal debris up. So that was one of the ideas that we had, just to follow up, and maybe can follow up with Andy on that to see if that's still possible. But as they're driving along, let's pick up any of the metal that's in the roads and or on the beach.
That's awesome. Great job. Thanks.
I don't have anything to report.
Dan?
Just a couple of things that I'll bring up at council, but since we're here, I'll bring it up. I've noticed over the last month or two is we're starting to see more and more people come, and I think it's probably going to get even worse. I've seen people climb inside buildings that are destroyed and haven't been secured. I saw 3 kids climbing in a building over the glass window to get in so their parents could take a picture of them inside the building. I don't know if it's something that the Public Safety Committee could take on, but it would kind of fall in some sort of campaign or pamphlet or something that we can put together to get out through the town's website to alert people that, there are some still unsafe structures. It's going to be, it's not going to be 6 months from now when they're all gone. So anything we could do to try to come up with ideas to help educate people before they get here that, we're still in a recovery mode. There are still going to be some unsafe places that you don't want to go into. Just to use your common sense, just kind of throwing ideas out there. And then the other thing was coming into the next hurricane season, if there's a way that we could work with short-term rentals and even the hotels to come up with pamphlets or something that could be inside the units to say, in the case of emergency, if something that does happen and you're staying here, here are the best practices. Here's where you can go, code red. Here's the things that you can do. Here's the evacuation routes. Here's the numbers to the Lee County Sheriff's Office or the fire district if you're having issues. Just something that you can have in your welcome packets or whatever it is you send out to your guests, just as information. Maybe people will read it, maybe they won't, but at least it would be in there to help them know that, you know, if you're dealing with a flood issue or you're dealing with a structure that fell down next to your house, something that allows you to not have to take the time to look up how to get a hold of the emergency services that you need. Obviously 911 is there, but some things are not necessarily always an emergency, and they prefer you to call the non-emergency number if you see something in the neighborhood that's a little out of place, something like that. But just an idea, especially just thinking about the hurricane and coming into season, how can we be more prepared and have our guests that are coming that may not know anything about hurricanes? You know, it's still shocking to me that people that come down and they're like, what happened to the outrigger? they just either don't watch the news or you know, it has moved on to something else. So anything, if you guys could come up with ideas to be able to alert people that are coming into town that maybe don't turn the news on, to give them the best practices of dealing with hurricanes and winds and tidal surges and high tides, things like that. It's an idea.
Dan, your first comment, you were talking about the dangerous buildings, and if I remember correctly, at a couple of town councils ago, you guys made the decision you're going to, like, you have a letter that's going out, they have 30 days to do something, tear it down, basically, and then 30 more days, and then you're pulling out RFPs for a group to knock down the building, and then you will take it down? I mean, are you?
Essentially, and that's very granular, but or very 10,000 foot, I guess. But
Yeah.
the letters, we gave direction to staff to have the letters prepared and to go out by the 1st of February.
Okay.
I believe it's going to be 30 days. I have to talk to Nancy and Becky to find out if that's the official legal date.
Sure.
But from what they've told us, that seems to be enough time to allow them to either get a hold of, and it's to get people to that are refusing to talk to us at all.
Right.
And tell us what their plan is or where they're at and if, you know, if they're not going to do anything. Some people are still dealing with insurance, but that doesn't mean you can't secure your property from people climbing in it or mow your grass or do other things
Right.
to maintain what you need to maintain, just for the public safety part of it. We are working with the fire district on some structures and things that, you know, but to your point, yes, we're going to be moving forward. I think we've been very fair in giving enough time. I thought we've talked about it quite often. It's time that we have to start cleaning these places up and getting them safer for the people that are here and have done the right things to secure their property. So by maybe the beginning of March, I think that then we could start. But according to the law, you have to have someone in place through the RFP process or RFP, or what's the other one starts with? I can't. ITB, there you go. That's the one I was thinking of. There's so many. I feel like I'm back in the FEMA handbook. But to have the person in place or have the company in place to be able to do the work.
Right.
And then you go out, you do the work, and then you put a lien on the property.
Okay.
You know, that's the last case. That's the worst case and last thing we want to do, but people need to be aware that we're willing to do that.
I think it's good. Okay. Jason, do you have anything?
No, just want to make a note that the town manager, Andy, did have a standing meeting, but he was trying to make it today, so I think he'll try and make it to a different meeting if he can't make it to this one.
Would you prefer us to wait until POI is in place and if your staff is overloaded for us to start sending things out? For example, you know, how do you want us to handle that?
Yeah, I mean, I think if the messaging's already there, I don't think that's too much, you know, to get out there. I know the public safety campaign was on here messaging of, I believe a couple meetings ago, you all were talking about maybe getting like a slogan or something, pamphlets, that sort of thing. So those are easy to kind of just push out there and promote from there. I'm not entirely sure on where we're at in the process of hiring a replacement there, but I would imagine it's in the process. But there are staff that are kind of assisting with the public messaging in the meantime too. So if we do have information that we want to get out, it is very possible, or we can do that with the town as well.
Okay.
So. I believe, like you said, you saw some, there's one last week about e-bikes and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So there's constant messaging still going out.
Yeah, they probably have it on a calendar, on a set schedule.
Andy did tell me he had interviews last week for a replacement PIO.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to talk to him this week yet to see where that went, but he did have interviews last week.
Okay. Public comment? Go ahead, Chief Worth.
Thank you. I was communicating with the Emergency Management Director with the county, so just more on visiting. We can do that whenever you want. He said they'll likely have to notice it because they typically have at least one commissioner that would like to attend, meet you guys. So if you wanted to do the whole group, possibly notice it on your end as a special meeting, and we can make it happen that way, all in one shot.
Okay,
Okay.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll work with Jason and get some dates thrown out to everybody, see what works. Okay. No more public comment, I'm guessing. Anybody have anything else that they forgot that they wanted to say? Okay. Next meeting would be I think we have it as the 16th. No, I'm on the January, sorry. The 13th? That's not, it's the 20th? Okay.
20th.
All right. All right, so our next meeting is February 20th, 9 a.m.
We
here.
actually have a town council meeting that day because the 19th is a holiday.
Ooh.
I think it's that President's Day on the 19th, so the 20th is our town council meeting, that Tuesday.
Okay, so we should move ours. Do you guys want to do the 27th of February? Be great, yeah.
I have a conflict on that day. That's just me, though. I'm the one. So,
I mean, do we want to do the 13th? It's a week earlier. Is there somebody else going on that day? Doesn't give us much time. Do we want to do another day, or do you want to do a Tuesday?
Is there any harm in doing the meetings on a Wednesday?
Yeah, I'm fine with another day.
Can we do another day, Jason, like Wednesday, the 21st?
Sure, yeah, I would just to be safe, I would just do it as a motion, to formally change that, and then we can work on advertising for whatever day you'll find.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to have our safety meeting on Wednesday at 9 a.m., February 21st, as opposed to a Tuesday morning with someone,
I'll second that.
okay, then we're approved.
Does look like Anchorage Advisor Committee meets at 9 o'clock on Wednesday, the 21st.
All right. You're killing us. I can do, what?
Let's check the 13th.
Or the 15th, or the 16th, or
13th
22nd?
at LPA.
22nd I couldn't do.
Okay, we're out. 13th or 27th?
So 13th, LPA's meeting
Okay, that's
at
out.
9 a.m. So let's check 27th. 27th, the town calendar looks like it's available, so we could do that.
I know, Jim, you can't make it, but you could send us your stuff.
yep, I would.
All right, I'll make a motion to have the meeting on Tuesday, the 27th. Somebody want to?
Wednesday.
Are we doing Tuesday, the 27th?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Save. That'll give you time also to get in and get with town council and do your thing, which would be nice.
Okay.
And maybe they'll have a POI person by then. Okay.
I would just recommend voting on that motion.
What?
Voting on the motion.
Oh, we need to vote on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we're having our meeting on the 27th of February. All right, I think we are ready to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay, motion, meeting adjourned.